What about then? Like, it's funny because this storyline is repeated from last split. It was the same fucking storyline, which is you can somehow never count Koi out. Like, the moment you've seen them play a game and you're like, actually, you know what? Fuck Koi. They're not that good and their players have fallen off and they're definitely going to lose the next. Oh, what's that? They've just inexplicably won the next game against the best player. Well, maybe they're good again. Oh, no, wait, they fucked me again. So, like, you can never, here's the thing, you can never write them off, but at the moment you also can't go all in on them because they're on some like fucking Pokemon shit, mate. Like, you don't know what turns up. Like, are they Magikarp or are they like Gyarados, the fucking evolved super version? So I don't even know, mate. Like, in that G2 series, they looked really good. Like, Larsa was just fucking clapping claps, basically. It's just like a good series all the way around. Yeah, G2 played like shit at times, obviously, but then they go and play that series against fucking BDS. Like, that should have been a banger series. That was so underwhelming. What are you at, Dom? The eternal Koi fucking paradox of are they actually good at League of Legends or not? How are they doing it?
I mean, I think that they like have the ability to like perform better than you'd expect, but like that better than you expect is maybe at like around like a fourth best team in LEC level instead of, you know, before where when they were playing their best, it just felt like they were the best team in the entire league and they obviously ended up winning a championship. So I just feel like there's still massive disconnect with this team. I mean, also the way that the game has changed, I think, has been really bad for Malrong. Like with the removal of lane experience, where you can't just walk to lane anymore and gain experience. If you don't know what the change is, you used to get 40% experience now, or used to get 75. Now you get 40% experience when you share waves early game, when you share lane experience early game with the jungler, which is really bad in comparison. First 14 minutes. And I feel like Malrong, he just never ends up playing.
By the way, could Riot in their history make it more obvious none of them actually like the jungle role or ever made the jungle role? It's ridiculous. Like, every change is just like, and then of course, there's a while we'll fuck jungle as well. Like, what? Like there's every change is fucks. Yeah, it's mental.
Well, it's one of those things where jungle will always be solo queue if you're able to just get a bunch of free kills. Like at some point, it have to be on play. Actually, it's not at some point. It should be on players to track the jungle and not give him free kills. If you see the jungle full clear towards your fucking lane, you should be able to avoid it. It's like, it's been in the game for 13 years. But what it is that players are just too stupid. Like, they don't know how to fucking manage waves. Like, especially if you think of like the average solo queue players, you can run into challenger players that are one tricks that don't know anything about like how to control their wave. They just know how their abilities interact with other champion abilities, and they're able to play situations really well.
That's no way to talk about Adam. He's a professional player, and he's in. Sorry, you're talking about someone else. Yeah,
I mean, literally, it's pretty much that. So as long as people like, jungle's an annoying role, right? You're playing your lane 1v1, you do something stupid, the jungler comes and kills you. Like, it's an annoying role to play against. People don't like that in general, and the people that have to suffer are the professional junglers for this. And I feel like jungle has just became like the solid 4 position in League now. Like, if you wanted to go by Dota terms, like 1 through 4, like where it's not that you're weak and like you can carry the odd game if you're like Bo versus 113 or something, but most of the time you were just getting like less gold, less experience than the 3 like main carry parts of the team. So I mean, it is what it is, but I think that this really hurt Malrong because he used to sin like a motherfucker, and then he would just catch up like, oh, I did finally get that kill that I've been waiting for 3 minutes. Now I can push your lane, and we're all good. But right now, you actually need to clear your camps. Like, not only do you need to clear your camps to evolve your fucking pet, where if you look at a lot of these games, like, Malrong is just so far behind on pet stacks. Like, I think there was a game where it was like 20 minutes and he didn't have his pet evolved yet, which is like crazy because that's also your smite damage evolve. So even though I think he ended up stealing a Baron with like his 900 damage smite, it's like, what the fuck, bro? He's 900 damage smite to 1200 damage smite. Plus you just miss a bunch of free stats when you don't have it evolved. So I feel like the whole way the game has changed to make you actually have to clear your jungle camps, but then also you can't just catch up massively off lanes. I think it's just really, really rough for the way that Koi wants to play the game and the way that Malrong wants to play the game. Because when you look at him, he gets these leads. Like in the second game versus BDS, for example, he gets a lead. He gets a free kill on Wukong. You're like, nice. Wukong with a free kill pre-6. That means he's going to be like earlier to his Divine Sunder. Massive spike. They'll be able to play through this and, you know, be able to get a sizable advantage. And obviously Wukong is one of the best scaling junglers in the game, especially in competitive play. Like, if you get a huge flank, you could just win the entire game alone. But then you look at the way that he plays, and because he just gives up so much, he just never is ahead of the curve. He doesn't have the early Divine Sunder. He doesn't have the early Smite upgrades, which obviously would help with his durability in a lot of these fights since he's going Green Smite. And he's just playing the fights kind of weird as well. It never felt like he was much of a like team fighting jungler. He was more the jungler that was going to just play for like ganks and try to get like a lot of kills for his teammates and then get carried in the team fights later on. And with the way that the game is evolved, it just feels like Koi is never going to be able to recover from this. They still haven't found a solution for this problem that has essentially existed all split.
Yes. Basically, the short version is, if people remember years ago, like Malrang's the person that they invented fucking catch-up XP for, so he could just do eternal ganks, basically. Because, mate, that's the thing. This guy reminds me, I actually used to have this problem, Jensen, which is when in esports, I got to the point where, like, the income is, like, way higher than it used to be because the industry got bigger and bigger and bigger and the events got bigger and bigger and bigger. I actually took years before my brain and my mindset ever clicked over, though. I had essentially, like, a poor person's mindset because I came from the era of esports where you did like 80-hour week and you got like fucking 10,000 euros at the end of the year. And you were like, brilliant, yeah. And it's only because there wasn't like much of a tax rate you had any money at all. And so it took me years to do basic things that people are going to think it's like a meme out of a movie. Like I would actually go like, oh wait, yeah, I could just buy socks before like the hole gets in it. Like, yeah, I just have a bunch of socks around actually. Or just go to the shop and go like, why don't you just buy loads of bottles now? What do you mean? I only need a little bit. It's like, well, you're going to buy them eventually, so just buy them now on off. Like, oh shit, yeah, it does make sense. I had to do that, right? That's what Malrang's problem is, dude. Like, look, I know he was on that fucking damn one team where he probably was the most starved jungler of all time. Because one, I bet the second he went for a single camp, they were like, you ain't Canyon, motherfucker. And then two, he was between Khan and Showmaker. So he must have just been the most drained jungler of all time. I get that, but it's like, homie, you aren't in prison anymore. You don't have to guard your food like this when you eat it like Malrang. It's okay. You can just sit out with the rest of us. Because, mate, it's like he just doesn't know how to ever spend money on himself. Like, he'll just be at the end of the game, like you say, like, that's me, Malrang, hardest ganking jungler in the game, hard hat on, just going to work, boys. It's like, you can just fucking, you don't even have to play that way anymore. Like some of these champions, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, he goes to a different shop than everyone else. When he bases, like the shop, the person that's operating the shop is like some like random street merchant that like actually is just fucking con artist, and they just scam him constantly.
It's the porn stars, guys. Malrang goes like, yeah, I need a mythic item, and they're like, best I can do is ruby crystal and 2 wards. He's like, well, what can I do? Off to the lane again.
Yeah, no, it's so fucked up. When you look at like his games, like you look at the games that he's playing, right? He's playing versus triple AD, and like anyone else is like, triple AD. Well, Tabbies is one of the most cost efficient and best items in League of Legends, and it was recently like kind of buffed in a way because it didn't interact the way that you thought it would with certain abilities. You know, where previously you would get full damage, now it mitigates part of that damage as well. You look at him and he's like, yeah, you know, I'll take Lucidity boots as Wukong in this game with 3 AD champions, and you just want to like blow your brains out when you see it. It's like, man, can you just build normal items? Like, I wish that Malrang could just play the game and then I could just buy the items for him. Yes. Like, I could just do the math. Like, it's like, okay, you came home with 1,400 gold. Okay, well, that'll be a Sheen and 2 longswords. Like, I could just help him with what's going on because, man, like, this guy actually gets griefed constantly. I don't know. The shopkeeper has it out for him.
I like the way Dom's whole plan is. He just needs to be at the 1950s housewife who's managing the checkbook. Like, no, okay, honey, you brought in 1,100 this time. That's not quite enough that we need for the item, but if you can come back next time. And he's like, I'm just going to take these wards. No, we need that. Remember, we're saving that for when your mother comes. Like, fucking.
Yeah. Oh, it's really fucked up.
By the way, where are you at on that, Jensen? Because here's the problem. I will say it is essentially like a whole sideline on this show that we do just slander Malrang. Even when he was really good, we sort of low-key still slandered him anyway. And quite frankly, the basic running theme on this show is, it's like that line from Breaking Bad of like, you can't keep getting away with this. And we actually, essentially, I don't think he really has. Like, it's sort of been exposed eventually. Where do you sit on him? Because I've always wondered, like, in theory, he's supposed to be this Korean jungler. He's been a champion. Like, how good actually is he as a jungler, in your opinion, Jensen?
Thing is, it's he's definitely very idiosyncratic, right? Like, he definitely has that one very specific style. Karsa is a very close example to his that as well. And there are these junglers who were just happy ending the game on ADCS, right? And then I think there was like some game Karsa played, like Poppy ended the game on ADCS, something like that. It's Similar with Marang as well, right? And I think that it's kind of the reason why Rogue or Koi did so well last year as well, because that's the type of jungler that they need for the style to function. This is a team that is constructed around that. We're going to have very strong laners, and then we need a jungler to support those strong laners, and then we are going to play on 3 lanes, play for farm efficiency, and then win team fights later on in the game once we skill up to the skilling team fight point in the game. Unfortunately for them, I think that paradigm has kind of shifted away, and then the teams that have been trying to play more proactive games, who believe more in the realm of like, hey, let's draw for a higher level of agency so that we can play a more proactive game, perhaps around Rift Herald and things like that. Those are starting to reap rewards to a certain extent, whereas for Koi, they're still kind of stuck in this paradigm, and I think that it's not just that Marang probably is not because the Marang doesn't want to change. Is that I think the way that this team plays as well doesn't allow him to do that. And I think changing the top lane as well, this style works extremely well when you're winning across the map, right? Your bot lane is push, your mid lane is push, your top lane is push, and then there's all these options that you can have as Marang, and you go in there, you're going to find a kill and things like that. But now when you are stacking your own economy in the jungle to help your top laner, you're not getting a kill. You're just helping him crash the wave because he put himself in a bad situation. He played this lane under par. Then all of a sudden you're just going to be extremely far behind. So it's one is the way that the team style plays, and two is that they had a downgrade of sorts at the top lane. So that's the reason why I think Marang seems to be struggling so much. The bright side for Marang though is that Trimby, I think could be if I were to vote, he would definitely be my first team All Pro support. Right? Is that the term they use for it?
What you mean?
Yep.
You mean for the whole split so far? He's number one for support.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, because he's definitely this guy is putting Koi on his back, right? He and Comp, the way that they're playing lane, the things that he's doing in team fights and things. I think Trimby is definitely somebody who's
I mean, they did get
compensating a
solo
lot.
killed a fuck ton of times in the regular season, but
They did get a bit fucked up in lane sometimes.
Yeah, but when Koi does well, it's because Trimby is
Yeah,
able.
fair enough. Okay, he might be the X factor, sure.
Yep. It is for them to do well. It has to be Trimby and Comp doing well in the bot lane, right? And when they don't do well, I think this is where this team kind of falls apart as well. So I think that with what's happening at top lane, I think this is not going to be Koi's year. That's the TLDR of it all. I don't think it's.
Yeah, go on.
I don't think things are looking up very well for them, and I think that all these teams that are playing to very actively control the map is going to catch the fact that Marang and Trimby aren't really coordinated in the mid game. It's going to catch the fact that this team is so greedy and they always like to play in 3 lanes as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I would say on the Koi angle is, let me think. What was it? Wasn't about Malrang, was it? Let me think. Oh, it was about the Shigenda. That's it. Here's the downside: is if I phrase it this way, you actually get a sense of what they've struggled with Shigenda. If you're someone whose whole fucking MO is supposed to be he's a carry top laner who can play like mechanical champions, then if the best play you've ever made in your career is just you using a really small hitbox to avoid being hit by a tower, I feel like your career wasn't sick enough. You know what I mean? Like, as I just said, remember, let me just check the notes again on what you were supposed to be. Mechanical champion carry player top lane. Like, that's all the fucking, where's the Camille highlights? So even though Shigenda has been slightly better this split, it's like, that does say something, Shigenda. Your best move ever was just going like, Basically, your best move was like when someone tries to use MS Paint and they don't know you can just zoom in and make it really accurate. They're just trying to do it like with their wrist, like a boomer, like, oh, I went outside the line. Like, that's the best thing you've ever done in League of Legends ever. And spoiler, this is really evil, but I'm going to say it. Probably is going to be the best thing you're ever going to do in League. So enjoy it. Like, it's brilliant. I'll bring it up, but the only problem is it takes 5 seconds and then it's over. But enough about how Fly fucked up Rogue. Yeah, go on anyway. Go on, Dom.
Well, I mean, what I was going to say about Shigenda is it's like he wants to be a carry top, right? Or like his champion pool is supposed to be this carry top. He was the guy that's supposed to be playing Fiora, Jax, like, which are completely viable champions, by the way. If you look at some of the, like, I'm going to say something that's going to blow people's minds, but I think LPL is slightly higher competition than LEC. And you see people like Bin be able to play these champions, always able to play these types of champions. They're getting banned all the time. Like, these are champions that are completely viable within the meta. And when when Koi tried to play them, they obviously weren't able to figure it out, but they gave up on that shit so quick. And now Shigenda is playing all these champions that are self-sufficient, but then also like supposed to be like kind of lane dominant. But if you have Malrang as your jungler, the whole idea is supposed to be that he is like the ultimate dog. He is the most dog jungler you'll ever find, where he'll be like, oh yeah, I just did full side red clear on red side of the map. You know, I have 3 bot camps up, but you need some help, or you need me to play around your lane because you really want to abuse this one timing at level 3? Sure, man, I'll do it. I'll be 2 levels behind so that you can do this. And we never see Koi go to that. We never see Koi try to play any type of style that incorporates like heavily playing around Chigenda in his carry champion pool, which tells you one of 2 things. Either they think that he's just not good enough on those champions to actually carry the game and it's not worth the investment, or it tells you that the way that the team works, he doesn't trust his teammates to actually be able to put him in the position where he can carry these games. So on one side of it, like, there's clearly a disconnect between what he was sold as and how they ended up using him. And we've essentially seen it since like the 5th game of winter season. In the season portion, they were like, nah, never mind, fuck it, like, you're on Nard duty. Yeah, whatever, you could play like Renekton or something. Maybe that's the most carry champion you'll get. We're never seeing the Jax again. We're never seeing the Camille again. We're never seeing the Fiora again. Like, there's just no way that they are utilizing what his supposed champion pool is.
Indeed.
In my head, I'm just picturing the Koi hype trailer, like if they were to do the like in-house hype trailer, and it's like in the bot lane you see like Lebrov is hitting all these hooks, and then Combi's there is getting the pentakill on the Caitlyn, and then it's like Larson with the shuffle on the Azure, and Marung is going there, he's ganking mid, he's ganking top, and then when he goes to Sijanda, he's just like walking in between 2 turrets, and that's it for his highlight reel, you know?
That's it.
that animation is now just stuck in my head.
And at the end, Freddy122 just goes, Azir. Then that's it. Like, that's the whole team hype trailer. Like, that's the best of Koi. You're not going to believe this team, guys. The most exciting team to ever come out of Rogue. That's the joke in it. It's the only angle you could hype up. That's the only problem is, listen, I know, Dom. I understand I have like a perverse sickness that I like these players that essentially are just defined by how boring they are. Like, even the things they're good at is just boring. Like, I should just do what I've always done is the LPL's like my mistress, where I just go there to enjoy all the ridiculous players. I always loved the fact that the junglers were just doing mad dives and didn't make any sense. Like, fuck it, just go for it. Why not? It's more fun, innit? Like, I just enjoy that part because they are just boring as fuck. Koi. Even at their best, you don't really get super hyped, you know.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.